Staff Professional Development by Eman Hojij, Whitney Baker, Sarah Ash, and Tamara Burks. The topic is engaging students in your lessons and challenging them to think critically.
Hi everyone and welcome to our first session of professional development for the year 2014 to 2015. I hope you will enjoy today's training. The topic of today's session is engaging students in your lessons and challenging them to think critically. Our session will run until 11:20 and we will work in conjunction with our school improvement goal, which is for all students to improve in problem solving and analytical thinking. As a staff, we will ensure that at least 50% of all classroom activities are engaging to students. Engaging is defined as having meaning to kids outside of regular school activity. Our goal for today's session is to provide you with the techniques for engaging students in the lessons for students questioning and responding. We will be using the supplemental text, Teach Like a Champion, 49 techniques that put students on the path to college that you picked up when you signed in for today's training. For now, please take the next 10 minutes to make sure you signed in. I would also like you to grab a colored card from the box and write your name on it. If you haven't picked up a copy of the textbook, please do so now and join a group of the same color as your name card. We should end up with groups of 8 on each table. After you all have joined a group, I'd like to start with our first activity, which would be creating a group resume. As we all know, a resume typically describes an individual's accomplishments. In this activity, we will be creating a group resume. This is a fun way to help us with team building within a group whose members already know one another, or in our case, we know each other but work in different grade levels. Each of you represent an incredible array of talents and experiences, and in this activity you get to identify and brag about each group's resources. Now we are ready to start. Using the large poster board and markers provided on your table, create your own table resume that promotes the group as a whole. You will have 30 minutes to complete this activity. Remember to be creative. If I could have your attention please, we have come to the end of 30 minutes. Now, it is the time to choose a spokesperson to your group to present to us your final group resume. While each group is presenting, I'd like the rest of you to analyze the materials being presented. Also, be prepared to share any thoughts or ideas after each presentation. We will now begin our presentations. Remember to post your poster board on the front wall for display. We will start with Group 1, then Group 2, then Group 3 and so on. Great presentations everyone. Let's spend a few minutes to discuss what we found interesting. I personally noticed that each group has staff members with different areas of expertise. Now, would anyone else like to contribute what they noticed? Remember that all ideas and thoughts are welcomed. Great discussion teachers. Remember, great teachers engage students if they feel that they're a part of the lesson. You could easily engage them by substituting drills for substance. The techniques in this chapter, that we will discuss today in detail, will consistently draw students into the work and keep them engaged and focused on learning. As a staff, you are the foundation to building change initiatives, and each of you have the extensive knowledge and experience in this field. As a result of this professional development, your various backgrounds mean that each of you as professionals will be looking to gain different tools to aid your professional growth. Now it is the time to begin immersion in the main contents of today's session. First, I would like you to spend some time in your groups completing an assessment search. Each table is given a different question to stimulate discussion about the main learning event topics. Questions will be as follow. The first question is, what is your knowledge of creating engaging lessons? The second question is, what is your attitude or opinions about the importance of engaging students in your lessons? The third question is, what is one or two examples of successful attempts of having engaging students' lessons? The fourth question is, what are some of the biggest obstacles in creating engaging students' lessons? The fifth question is, in order to make engaging lessons possible in your building, what support would you need from your administration? The last question is, knowing the objectives of today's session, what are you hoping to gain as a professional from this experience? Now, please take the next 15 minutes to talk to your group on your assigned question. I'd also like you to choose a different spokesperson to share your discussion later. Attention staff. You have come to the end of the 15 minutes. Thank you for sharing your ideas and thoughts. It was great listening to your discussions. Well done. Now, I'd like you to turn to page 111 in your book and follow along on the PowerPoint. At this point we will dig deeper on 6 specific strategies that engage students. These strategies will also help them to think critically. You will notice that 6 strategies will be covered through the PowerPoint presentation. Each of the strategies will have a supplemental video for you to view later on the attached CD in the back of the book. Well, our first strategy is called cold call. The question here is, why do we need such a strategy? Well, during class discussions, you want all students to pay attention. You, as a teacher, would also like to create a situation where every student feels that it's possible they might be called upon. Here are the benefits and components of cold call. For example, when checking for understanding, call on random students to answer questions, even if they aren't raising their hands. You can even have a rule of no hand raising. The key is normalize cold call as a natural and positive part of our class. It increases speed and pacing at which you can cover more material. With cold call, you will no longer have to scan the room and wait for hands or even hear yourself saying, "I am seeing the same hands," or "I want to hear from other students." This strategy helps you in engaging more students in the lesson. You send a message of "I want to know what you have to say," or "I care about your opinion." You have to remember that cold call shouldn't be negative or chastening. Last but not least, this strategy allows you to distribute the work around the room with more authority. Here is a clip that will allow us to see this strategy in action. Enjoy. I hope you all like the clip. Next is the second strategy. It's called call and respond. In this technique, you ask a question, and the whole class calls out the response at the same time. It sounds simple, but it can be an effective way to engage the entire class. Rather than one student responding, everyone responds. It's a lively and spiritual way to energize our student. It can be simply used to report a short answer. For example, on 3, tell me your answer to problem number 2. Or it could be used to answer more rigorous questions. Here's an example. If the width is 10 inches and the length is 9 inches, what is the area? This will be effective as long as all students know that they must respond and when to respond based on their cue. The cue could be something like, "Class. 1, 2, 3, then students would shout out the answer. Here's a clip that will allow you to see this strategy in action. I hope you enjoyed the clip. Now we'll explore the third strategy for today. It's called Pepper. It's more of a game. It doesn't teach a new skill, it helps reinforce an old one though. Here's how it works. You toss out a question to a student, and if the student gets it right, you move to the next question. If the student is wrong, you call on someone else to answer. There is no discussion of an answer because it's a fast-paced review. Here is a short video that will allow you to see the strategy in action. The fourth strategy is called wait time. In this technique, you are asked to wait few seconds before calling on a student to answer. Typically, you, like other teachers, wait about 1 second after you call on a student to answer, which is unlikely to lead to a thorough or thoughtful answer. By waiting 3 to 5 seconds, you are more likely to improve the quality of answers and the pound of students who volunteer to answer. Here's a great clip that allows you to see this strategy in action. Now it's time to move on to the fifth strategy, which is everybody writes. As we all know, writing gives all students a chance to reflect on and clarify their thinking for more rigorous thinking. Writing not only engages students, but also helps them to process and refine their thinking. We'll watch a short clip and I'd like you to consider the difference between the two students. Right after the teacher asks a question, student 1 shoots her hand immediately, while student 2 writes and clarifies her ideas. Now, we'll end this strategy by watching a short clip. The vaguest strategy is the sparkle in the lesson, when you might have music, lights, rhythm or dancing. It's not sparkle for sparkle's sake, but it supports the learning objectives. This is fun for most students. It could be 30-second break to do action verb shimmy, or sing a long division song, or a brief competition of the best charade of vocabulary word. Here is a video to see the strategy in action. And after the clip, we will have 10 minutes break. Remember to join the same group after you come back from your break. There's coffee and juice to enjoy on your break. Welcome back, staff. When you were on the break, I placed cards on your tables. Please take the next 30 minutes to discuss the activity and give examples of each strategy with your group. Okay staff, it is 11 o'clock now. Each group will have 1 minute to present of the strategies you had discussed in your groups. We will start with group 6, then group 5, and so on. Excellent presentations. It's obvious that you found value in each strategy presented today. It's my hope that you found these strategies practical and you'll implement them effectively. It is 11:10 now. We have come to the end of our session for the day. Before I dismiss you, I would like you to work in groups on the activity keepers that reflects on today's contents. Keepers are our ideas or suggestions given at the training session that you think are worth keeping or retaining for future use in your classrooms. An example might be, great teachers engage their students so they feel a part of the lesson. When done, please write your phrase on your group resumes posted on the wall. It is 11:20 now. I'd like to thank you all for your time and efforts. I look forward to observing each of you in action in your classrooms. You may be dismissed now.